Before you watch this video, I've got two questions for you. Firstly, can you speak English or do you have a translation device? Second question, what would you call this in English? Okay, bear those two answers in mind because you'll need them later on. This is Fair Sleets Gate. How amazing is this? What do you think? Can you see? Don't you think this is just absolutely amazing? Can you see it? You probably think I've gone mad now. Hang on a minute, let me put this down. So, look how thick this wall is. It's that thick. More importantly, look at this. I'll put this straight back. I'll bring it over so you can actually have a closer look at it. Can you see this rock that's in the wall's made of? See this? I'll go and put it back so the farmer doesn't get upset with me. That rock is not from a quarry. Look at the shape of it. That rock has just been picked off the ground and piled up, and then I'll drop this onto your screen. Let me have a look at the map. Have you noticed that 99% of the walls in this area, they go in a straight line? That's from the enclosures, you know, when they were enclosing public land from the 1600s onwards. This wall, if you look at it, doesn't go in a straight line. It actually curves all over the place. It sort of goes up and then around in that direction. What an amazing thing to find. I've always said, anywhere in England, within a short distance from where you are, there is something extremely interesting. And this gate proves it. Not the actual wooden gate. You know, that looks quite new. I'm talking about the gap in the wall. Look at this. Anyway, I find this to be absolutely amazing, and I'm sure you do as well. Welcome to Fair Sleets Gate. Now, you might think that sleet has something to do with wet snow, you know, but it doesn't. In fact, it comes from an Old English word. In this area, there is a complete mix of languages used to describe local features. The original tribal language of the people who lived in this area from around 10,000 years ago was a mixture of Celtic languages, and this didn't change much when the Romans arrived 2,000 years ago. You know, the Romans spoke Latin, but it was a definite army of occupation. So the Romans spoke Latin and the locals continued to speak their mixture of Celtic languages. Very, very quickly after the Romans left, the Anglo-Saxons arrived. They were a group of tribes from Northern Europe. One of these tribes was called the Angles, and the area that they settled in was known as Angleland, or England. There you go. And they spoke what we now call Old English. So between the years 500 until about 800, the local tribes also started speaking Old English. And from around 800 onwards, the Vikings started arriving, and eventually they conquered most of northern England, and the local language changed once again. So lots of words that we use today come from different sources, different etymology. I don't know what's the etymology of the word etymology? In fact, many of these mixed up words have now spread around the English-speaking world. You know, so here's a question for anybody who can speak English. Let me get some. What would you call this? Let me go and get some. So here it is. If you can speak English, what would you call this? Any ideas? I would call it green grass. Yeah? And I'm assuming that you'd call it green grass as well, but maybe with a different accent. And I shan't even try to do accents. It just never seems to work. Anyway, so I would call this green grass. Now, green is from the Viking word graen, and grass is from the Anglo-Saxon word grassen. So a mixture of the Viking and the Anglo-Saxon, graen grassen, became green grass. So, waffle within waffle. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, this is Fair Sleets Gate. So what is a sleet? Oh, gate, by the way, is from the, it could be either the Viking or the Anglo-Saxon. The Viking would be gat, the Anglo-Saxon giat. So Anglo-Saxon giat or the Viking gat, and you've got gate. So both of those Anglo-Saxon and Viking words, they both mean an opening or a door. Anyway, keep going, sleet, we have to keep on sleet. Sleet is a medieval way of saying sleget, which is an Old English Anglo-Saxon word meaning a sheep pasture. And if you look at a 200-year-old map of this area, an Ordnance Survey map from 200 years ago, you can also see parlours. Yeah? Now parlours became parlours, which is an area where cows are milked in the fields. And it also contains a reference to folds, which is a place containing animal enclosures. So anyway, so exactly why do I find this gate so interesting? Well, it's the name Fair Sleets Gate, which is Anglo-Saxon, tells us that this wall, or this gap in the wall, has been here since before the Vikings arrived. So this gap in the wall here is between 1,200 and 1,500 years old. Can you imagine all the different people that have walked through this gap in the wall over the last 1,200, 1,500 years? I know, as I said, I find it amazing, and I very much doubt that anybody else does. They walk up here and they just go through a gate and that's it. But anyway, Fair Sleets Gate.